Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Christopher Ward C63 Sealander Automatic. This watch is available from christopherward.com for €870. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with a piece. So the C63 comes in a watch box which is protected by this matte black outer cardboard sleeve which one removes. Has the twin flag emblem embossed on the top, so very aesthetically pleasing, and it does a good job of protecting the watch box. This is the watch box itself, finished to a high standard. As you can see, it has the Christopher Ward brand logo and also the twin flag emblem embossed. So it's a wooden tray which pulls out of a sleeve, and I want to give due credit to Christopher Ward because the attention to detail with their watch box is very pleasing. The inside of this sleeve is actually felt lined, and that means that the tray is very silky smooth to pull in and out of the sleeve portion, finished to a very high standard and coated in a vinyl plastic. So this is the tray itself, which is made from solid wood, and one feature I like, which is innovative, is the use of two magnets in the end of the tray which attracts the sleeve so it snaps shut with a good positive magnetic pull. There's a panel which one removes, and as you can see it's embossed with a twin flag emblem, and there are two booklets which I'll show you. So this is the warranty card booklet, and inside we have a plastic warranty card which says 60/60 guarantee. So I'll explain what that means. Every Christopher Ward watch is covered by a 60/60 guarantee. The watch itself is covered by a 60-day return guarantee, and the movement in the watch is covered by a 60-month guarantee. So for example, if you purchase this C63 Automatic and for any reason, within the first 60 days of ownership, if you're unhappy with the piece, you can return it to Christopher Ward for either a full refund or alternatively a replacement piece. So that's very reassuring. And it's also very reassuring to know that the movement used, the Sellita SW200-1, is also covered by a 60-month warranty. So as you can see, the interior is very well executed. It's fully lined with vinyl plastic to a very high standard, so very aesthetically pleasing and very good quality presentation. This is the second book, which is the Owner's Handbook, and this is one of the best written owner's instruction manuals I have ever read. Clear pictures in high definition, and also clear, concise diagrams which are easy to understand, including clear, concise instructions. So it details every aspect of the C63 Automatic, including the specification, and it's a very useful read if you're unfamiliar with the movement used, the Sellita SW200-1. So Christopher Ward deserves full credit for producing a very high quality owner's handbook. So with regards to the specification of the watch itself, this is the Christopher Ward C63 Sealander Automatic, 39mm case diameter. It has a 45.8mm Lug To Lug measurement, a thickness of 11.25mm, and it has a lug width of 20mm. There is a slight taper on the bracelet from 20mm at the lugs down to the 2-button push clasp, which is signed with the twin flag emblem. Absolutely beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel, and I absolutely love the finishing. They've brush satin finished the links in the bracelet to perfection, as you can see. Just a beautiful luster. Sapphire Crystal, which has anti-reflective coating on the underside, and I think they've made the correct decision by using clear AR coating rather than blue tinted, because the clear AR coating complements the white dial and the symmetrical applied indices. The arrow hand is clearly legible on the hour hand, and then we have a baton style minute hand which has an arrowhead point. And one feature I like about the sweeping second hand is we have the trident spearhead as a counterbalance, which really does capture the identity of the C63 series. Christopher Ward have made the correct decision by moving their brand logo to the 12 o'clock position, and I also think they've made the correct decision by citing the date complication at 6. It retains the symmetry of the applied indices, and it makes the dial clearly legible, and it's just an absolute pleasure to look at. So very high quality dial finishing. The applied indices are just absolutely beautiful, and they do complement the hands. Now this is available in two versions. This is the white dial version, but if this isn't your personal taste, it's also available in a black dial version, and I understand that later on this year Christopher Ward may also be making the C63 in different dial colour options. The case, bezel, bracelet, clasp and also crown are all made from solid 316L grade stainless steel. One thing I really like about this piece is the light catcher case, and as the name suggests, it catches the light beautifully. As you can see, there is a large bevel undercut on the underside of the case which enhances the comfort level of the piece. Brushed satin finish to the flanks of the case and a nice large bevel machined which marks the transition between the tops of the lugs and the flanks. Absolutely finished to perfection. This is the kind of case finishing and bezel finishing one would expect to see on a high tier piece costing in excess of €5,000. It really is exceptional to get this with a mid-tier piece costing only €870. It's just incredible case finishing on the light catcher case. Screw down crown which provides an effective hermetic seal to 150 meters. It's knurled finish and signed with the Christopher Ward brand emblem. As you can see, it has the twin flag emblem. Matte bead blasted effect to the background which contrasts with the mirror polished twin flag emblem, just done to perfection. So let's test the crown action. Absolutely silky smooth. It really is Rolex quality. Minimal resistance to unscrew the crown, good interface between the internal thread of the solid stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. When one unscrews it fully, in the first position it's in the manual wind position, so one can manually wind the Sellita SW200-1 to top up its power reserve to its maximum 40 hours. Pulling it out to the first click operates the quickset date complication, and as you can see, looking at the date complication, the quickset complication works as one would expect. Final click is the time setting position, and it's absolutely silky smooth to set the time and just a pleasure to use. So the movement has hand winding and hacking. As you can see, the sweeping trident second hand has now stopped because I've hacked the movement. Pushing it in, it's got a nice positive click and it restarts the movement. So let's screw it back down and test the thread action. Absolutely fantastic. This really is Rolex quality. So I think Christopher Ward deserves full credit for producing an outstanding quality crown. The quality control, the build's quality and also the execution of it are 10 out of 10 flawless. One thing I really like about the Sapphire Crystal is it has a nice lip which projects above the bezel. As you can see, when one tilts it in the light, the edge of the Sapphire Crystal, which has clear AR coating on the underside, it catches the light and it's just absolutely beautiful. I love the way it catches the light. Very interesting. The bezel is also a point of interest because it's brushed satin finish on the top, but it has a mirror polished chamfer machine to it, and then the flanks of the bezel have a contrasting brushed satin finish. So the attention to detail with this light catcher case, including the bezel, are just incredible. Screw down exhibition case back, which is glazed with sapphire crystal, and I absolutely love the large slots which are machined all the way around the screw down exhibition case back. So 316L grade stainless steel to the outer portion and glazed with sapphire crystal to the centre section. It does a very good job of displaying the Sellita SW200-1 movement, which also has the Collie McCone finished rotor, as you can see. So if you look at the Collie McCone finish, you can see it is made from the twin flag emblem, repeated over and over again, and it's also signed with Christopher Ward. Absolutely beautiful to look at that Collie McCone finishing on the rotor. It does add interest to the otherwise undecorated Sellita SW200-1, which is an Alab ore grade. Solid end links are a very good tight fit to the case, very well executed, and they also have two quick releases. So that means one doesn't need a spring bar tool to remove the bracelet and fit a strap. I like that aspect. I think they deserve credit for using quick release levers rather than having conventional spring bars. It's very easy to remove the bracelet and refit it. Another feature I really like about the bracelet is the 2-button push clasp. As you can see, beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel. Brushed satin finish to the flanks of the bracelet, the flanks of the clasp, and also the top side and underside. So it's just absolutely beautiful to look at, that luster. I really like the luster of the 316L grade stainless steel. Nice firm 2-button push triggers, good spring-loaded action. The interior is very well finished, brushed satin finish to the top side, underside, and flanks, and engraved to a high standard, signed with Christopher Ward. So it's a very well executed, solid milled stainless steel clasp. And the other thing I really like about it, which I'll show you, is the ratcheting mechanism on the interior of the clasp. This is one of the best ratcheting mechanisms I have seen on any watch. It's something I really like about Christopher Ward watches. I would actually say that this is close to a Rolex Glide Lock in terms of quality, and I actually prefer it to the adjustment on the Omega Seamaster. So this is just something I really like, and I'll demonstrate it. If one puts one's thumbnail into the slot, there's a spring-loaded release, and that activates the ratcheting mechanism. As you can see, I can pull it out to its full extension, and the ratcheting mechanism has very positive clicks, so one can push it in and adjust on the fly, and it means that one can fine-tune the length of the bracelet. There's positive clicks, and I really like the feeling of it. Plenty of adjustment, so it's very good to have that on the fly adjustment from the ratcheting clasp, and they've managed to fit it within the body of the 2-button push clasp. It's still very low profile, so I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how the piece fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, I haven't sized this bracelet, and I'm pleased to report that I can indeed fit it around my 8-inch wrist, and I can actually fit an index finger underneath the bracelet, so this will fit up to an 8.5-inch wrist with no difficulty whatsoever. Nice positive clicking action to the 2-button push clasp, which is very reassuring. It's not accidentally going to come undone if one brushes against the 2 spring-loaded triggers. A very well executed clasp with a nice positive feel. I like the slight taper from 20mm at the lugs down to the 2-button push clasp. They have got the taper of the bracelet done to perfection. The 20mm lug width perfectly balances the 39mm head of the piece. Now, as you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot with regards to lug to lug measurement. I regard that as perfection. So it has actually come as a surprise to me, because this has a relatively short lug to lug measurement of 45.8mm, which is significantly less than the 48mm I consider to be perfect. But however, the light catcher case with the undercut bevel machined into it actually wraps around my wrist very well. It's a very snug fit, and it's deceptive because it does look and feel like a 48mm lug to lug measurement, even though it's only 45.8. Nice taper to the lugs, and the 20mm lug width really does balance the 39mm head of the piece to perfection. Something else which I really like, and I think Christopher Ward again deserve full credit for, is this piece is only 11.25mm thick. 13mm really is the industry standard for automatic pieces, such as watches that use the SW200-1, as this does. So Christopher Ward deserves full credit for getting the thickness of this piece down to only 11.25mm. That is below 12mm. Really, that is incredible. It's the kind of thickness one would expect to see with a quartz piece, or alternatively a manually wound piece, rather than an automatic which has to have a rotor on the underside. And it's very low profile, as you can see, so this is easily going to slip underneath the shirt cuff if you wear business shirts, an ideal daily wear piece. The comfort level is 10 out of 10. The feel-good factor of wearing this piece is 10 out of 10. It is incredibly comfortable to wear for long periods of time. The 39mm by 11.25mm low profile case shape just is very beautiful to look at, but also just incredibly comfortable. Flat sapphire crystal means it just fits against the wrist, very low profile. It's a very snug fit, as you can see. The clear AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal significantly reduces the glare and the highly reflective nature of the applied indices and the silver hands. So they've done everything correct, and also I like that lip of the sapphire crystal, as I've discussed, which is very eye-catching. Right, so let's do a loom test and we'll see how the loom performs when it's charged up to its absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Now I've got very high expectations of the loom used, because it uses X1 GL C1 Super Luminova. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is 10 out of 10 Super Luminova. This is the very best of Swiss Loom. It looks very similar to Swiss BGW9 Super Luminova, or alternatively Rolex Chromolite. It has that characteristic blue tone. C1 means that it is glowing incredibly bright. It's very similar in terms of the brightness to Seiko Lumibright, which again is 10 out of 10 Loom. It's glowing very brightly and it's continuing to glow for a good length of time. The double applied indices at the 12 o'clock position on the dial mean that the orientation is excellent. One can clearly differentiate between the indices and see that the 12 o'clock has double indices, and also there is a small index below the date complication. The hour hand also has a large plot of loom on the arrowhead points, and one can clearly differentiate between the arrowhead, hour hand and the baton style minute hand. So really, Christopher Ward deserves full credit, because this loom, I would describe it as equal quality to my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41, which uses chromolite. The applied indices are very similar. So it's just 10 out of 10. I absolutely love it. So X1BL-C1 Super Luminova, and I think Christopher Ward have made the correct choice. So lastly, I'll discuss the movement. This is the Sellita SW200-1 Elab All Grade. It has 26 joules and it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, as I've discussed, which are useful complications. 40-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable, and the Elab All Grade has a stated accuracy of plus or minus 20 seconds per day. However, I'm pleased to report that this one has been very well regulated and it's running consistently at plus 6 seconds per day when it's wound to its 40-hour maximum power reserve. Beautifully decorated with the Colin McCone finish to the rotor, and it's just absolutely gorgeous to look at through the screw down exhibition case back, which is glazed with sapphire crystal. The quality of the finishing to the Colin McCone rotor is just absolutely beautiful. As you can see, the Colin McCone finishing catches the light when I tilt it in the light. So very well executed. Excellent choice of movement. The SW200-1 is a reliable, well-proven Swiss movement, and it's also very well regulated at plus 6 seconds per day. So lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. At €870, this is unquestionably excellent quality and unquestionably excellent value. This is one of the greatest watches money can buy for under €1,000. I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. The specification is absolutely loaded for €870. One is getting X1BL C1 Super Luminova, and also AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal. Even the exhibition case back is glazed with sapphire crystal rather than mineral crystal, which is a cost-cutting measure that often other brands use. And as I've discussed, the 2-button push clasp with ratcheting mechanism is one of the best I've ever seen. Now, there is only one negative to this piece, only one thing I would like to change, and that is the use of push pins in the bracelet. I would like to see Christopher Ward upgrade the push pins to screw pins, but however, this is subjective. I appreciate that for some collectors they actually prefer the ease of resizing a bracelet using push pins rather than screws, but however, my personal taste is for screw pins, and I think that this would finish the piece to perfection. Other than that, the watch is the perfect under €1,000 daily wear piece. 39mm case diameter will suit you if you are a collector with a 6 to 7 inch wrist, or alternatively a collector with a larger 7 to 8 inch wrist. And really it has come as a surprise to me, because as I've discussed, I think 48mm is the sweet spot, but this is only 45.8, and with a light catcher case with the large bevel machine to the underside, it gives an incredibly low profile snug fit. So I've reviewed many watches on my channel, and this is a personal favourite of mine. It is one of the greatest Christopher Ward watches ever made, and I think they deserve full credit for it. It just is incredible. I'm delighted with it. So I hope you've liked my review of the Christopher Ward C63 Sealander Automatic. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.